迎大家来参加第6场的院长与同仁茶叙活动。那我们之前已经办过5场的茶叙活动，这一场是特别为了我们台大校区的本院同仁办理的。那非常感谢院长给我们同仁这个机会。另外，今天院长临时有重要的行程，2点半需要离开，所以我们茶叙时间提早到1点开始，2点半结束。耽误大家1点中午休息的时间，非常抱歉，请大家多多包涵。我们这一场既有102人报名参加，非常感谢大家的参与。我们现在就请院长来为我们主持。
谢谢人事室主办。Well, I think I better change to English. I see some faces that may have difficulty understanding Chinese. 听不懂中文的请举手。Okay, it's a great pleasure to be here back in NTU campus. Actually, this is Academia Sinica Extension. This is my first time to be back in this part of campus. When I graduated some 30, I'm embarrassed to say how long, but a long time ago, there wasn't this part of campus. So 1/3 of campus, maybe 1/2 of campus is foreign to me. I'm totally lost. The only thing I recognize is that this is a nice lake around here. So that's where my center of reference. Anyway, it's a great pleasure to be here, and also it is a pleasant surprise to see that Academia Sinica does have thriving activity here. It's a nice building. We have a couple of buildings, 3 excellent institutes and centers in this campus. So I will spend the next hour and a half. By the way, thank you for changing your schedule on the last minute. I have to see the very important person in the Congress who will decide our budget. So I better go. So thank you again for changing your schedule at the last minute. And before we start this conversation, by the way, this is a conversation rather than monograph. So I will present a few slides and then I'll open up for QA, question and answers. There are more questions than answers. I cannot answer all the questions. So to begin with, I will share with you something that I did almost every time. This is a book. Has been on my shelf for a long time because it was a book when my daughter was young. This is a very famous children's book. For those of you who grew up in the United States or who have raised children in the United States, probably have heard Dr. Seuss. And this is a famous book from the collection called All the Places You'll Go. And when I grabbed this book, I found that almost every sentence is relevant to what we do. And surprisingly, it's still relevant today. So it says that today is your day, congratulations. You're off to great places. We are off to great places. You're off and away. Yes, we want to be off and away and go where no man has gone before. Right? That's where we are. You have brains in your head. We do. You have feet in your shoes. Check it again. You can steer yourself in any direction you choose. Aha, this is the trick. You can steer yourself any direction you choose. And we have probably the only institution in Taiwan who can say this. And I'll explain that later. And I'm sure every one of you probably can ask yourself, can you actually steer yourself any direction you choose? When you get the money. That's where we need to ask. You're on your own, and you know what you know. And you are the guy who will decide where to go. That's excellent. That's where we want to be. That's where we are. Okay, but then where do you want to go? You look up and down streets. Look them over with care. Don't just pick any directions. About some you'll say, I don't choose to go there. With a head full of brains and your shoes full of feet. You're too smart to go down any not so good street. Okay, the last sentence summarizes everything. You have to choose where you go. You have to make the judgment. And then the rest of pages I'm not going to show here. And I have some printouts here. And if you don't get, I didn't know how many people will show up, so I didn't print enough copies. You can share or you can Google. Okay, Google Dr. Seuss, all the places you go, you'll get the whole PDF file. And if you want a hard copy of a real book, email me. I will mail one for you as a gift. But you have to wait, because you cannot buy this in Taiwan, I'm surprised. Okay, you cannot even mail order. So but fortunately, I'm going back to the United States next week. So I can order it from Amazon and have an express mail to my home, and I come back next week, and you'll get it. So if you want it, send me an email today. Okay, it's very nice. Every single word says something to what we do. And of course, in research, you have frustrations. And there it said, you have a lot of bumps. You'll be hung up, you have a lot of trouble. Don't be frustrated. Pick yourself up and go again. This is exactly where we are. Okay, so I use that as an opener. I hope you had a chance to enjoy the few pages of easy reading and reflect on yourself, on what you do, because this is so important. We have this privilege to do research with the government funding, okay, without the burden of heavy-duty teaching, and we have to make good use of that. So when I took the office 2 months ago, I provided 3 visions. Okay. The first is that since we are given this privilege to do research of our choice, what is our payback in return? Eventually, we want to impact society by research. And of course, this is a little more difficult for at least 2 of the 3 institutes here. Okay. But the impact doesn't necessarily mean direct, doesn't necessarily mean tomorrow, doesn't necessarily mean monetary or financial. So don't think of this as that, hey, I cannot have anything to transfer. I can't open a company. That's not the point. We should lead the society to move forward. And if you think what you are doing is important in many aspects or in one direction, and you should articulate why this is important for the society, not necessarily in terms of finance, not necessarily in terms of GDP, but in terms of the social, humanity, and the national progress for the long term. Okay. I think that's the unique mission of Academia Sinica. We have many institutes. We have 31 institutes and centers. Some of them are more translational, meaning some of them are closer to societal impact. Others, like many of you, are working on very, very fundamental, very scientific, and very unique aspect of pure research. And why does the nation need this? Okay, we need to articulate that. And for most of us, we take it for granted, and we know in our hearts that it is true. A nation cannot live without the fundamental research that we are doing. Why? Because this is a vital line of the nation. We stimulate the interests of young people. We show the nation that there's a future, there's an excitement to seek new frontiers. And we need to develop, we need to cultivate that spirit, seek new frontiers, not necessarily in terms of territories of a country, but in terms of knowledge. We cannot go out of our country's border and then invade other countries. But in terms of knowledge territory, we should venture where no man has gone before. I'm sure everybody heard this slogan before. And that's where we are here. So, I again focus on the fundamental research. Okay? And for some of you who can direct to the actual development. And this, again, the actual development, 实际发展, does not necessarily mean tech transfer, does not necessarily mean setting up companies or anything. Okay? That just means you have to find every opportunity to translate your basic research to something that will carry out an impact in the long run. I'm sure some of you have heard the saying that there's nothing more practical than a good theory. And many of you are doing theoretical work. Math people, I'm sure almost all of you can classify that, with the exception of few applied math people, you are developing new theory. Nothing is more practical than a good theory. But you have to do a good theory. If you don't do a good theory, then I'm sure there are other ways to describe what you do. And the opposite of that, I'm sure some of you also have heard, if a research is not useful, it's fundamental. It's a cynical way of saying the opposite. I hope you can be classified as the first. Okay, want to be the best theory, want to do good theory so that it will be the best application in the long run. Okay. You don't have to worry about application all the time. And you probably can forget about it when you develop the theory. So that's the first vision. The second vision is more towards the administration of academia sinica, not necessarily directly related to each individual PIs. However, I encourage you to recognize the important fact that academia sinica is a comprehensive institution that has three major divisions in physical sciences, humanities, social sciences, and life sciences. What does that mean? That means we have all the talents that you need to do basic research. And I would encourage you to go out of your little box, talk to other people, to talk to your colleagues in other divisions, trying to seek opportunities to stimulate each other. Maybe no one understands the numbers theory that you are developing, but maybe not. Maybe your numbers theory can explain some social phenomena. Or maybe the new galaxy you find can reflect on humanity in some way. Okay. Maybe you develop a new device that detects disease that humanity has yet to defend themselves. We are under the threat of Zika virus. Many of you are aware of that, and I think the reference or a lot of people can contribute to that. So, trying to walk out of your boundary, get out of the little box. Okay, that's what it means to you in the second vision. The last one, I will focus on quality over quantity. And I said that many times, and a lot of people have said back to me, yes, we're doing that, been there, done that. Okay, we're doing that, of course. No one will admit that I'm only interested in quantity, not quality. But are we actually focusing on quality? It's easy said than done. When you're up for tenure, up for evaluation, you count papers. You count impact factors. You count the number of PhDs you produce. Okay? Some of you say, no, we don't do that in this institute. Maybe, I wish that's true. Even if that's true, are we doing the best focused on quality? How can we improve our quality? Can we work together and spend a number of years and push out a major theory? I know it's not the same in math or in specific areas, but that's already been done, I'm showing astronomy. Astronomy cannot do single investigator work. You have to work together in a team. Okay? But nevertheless, this emphasis can be translated and can be implemented in different ways and impact different people in different aspects. Especially, this is important for humanities. Okay? Humanities cannot be quantified. Okay? And for people in this room, I want you to think about this and then take that into your heart. And maybe you're already doing that very well. Great. If you haven't done that enough, and that's the direction that we will continue to push. Okay, these are the visions. How do we accomplish those visions? We have been challenged about the justify where we are, the existence of Academia Sinica. Why should we exist? Why should the nation support Academia Sinica? Why should we set up an institution that is different from the regular universities? Even though the three institutes here are situated in National Taiwan University. I'm sure you all know that you are different from university PIs. You are not professors. What are the differences? Number one, you don't have the burden to teach. On the other hand, you don't get students. Number two, you don't have to write any grant to get some chunk of money, even though some of you say it's not a chunk, it's just a tiny bit of money. But nevertheless, you get some money to do research. But university professors don't. In universities, what is that called? That is called a chair professorship. You don't have to write anything, you get a chunk of money to do research. That's not a lot, but that's chair professorship. You have to work throughout your life, the whole career, you earn the chairship. But here, we guarantee that you have some chunk of money to do research of your choice. So that's why I say in the first slide, you better make good use of that, to make a good decision, and use that money, treasure that money to do high risk, high impact. Don't just be high risk, high impact. There are a lot of high risk, low impact research, or high risk, no impact research. Of course, don't do that. The best research is low risk, high impact. But that's not easy to find. So most commonly, you find high risk, high impact. But make sure you have high impact. Okay. Again, define impact in your term, not necessarily in Congress term. Don't worry about Congress. Okay. You have to convince yourself and your colleagues first before you go to convince the society. However, in view of this academic ecosystem, we have to collaborate with universities and other research institutions. But not just collaborate, we have to complement. We have to develop our own role. Okay? If we just collaborate, we merge into the operation of universities, very soon they say, why do we need a separate entity? Why do we need a separate structure? Why do you get the free money that I don't? So while we collaborate, we have to set up a structure so that we keep our unique contribution, our uniqueness. And I'm sure this aspect is easy for some, more difficult for others. I think astronomy may be very easy. No one can do this large-scale science than Academia Sinica. Okay, so the astronomy is easy to justify. Others need to think more about that. And then how do we do this? The second one is fundamental research and translational. You should focus on that at the same time. As I said earlier, there's nothing more practical than a good theory. And here it is. And whenever you try to work on a theory, spend 10% of your time, 20% of your brain, think about who cares other than myself. Are you solving a problem that everybody cares, and who is that everybody? Is that everybody in the review committee, everybody in your peer group, or maybe someone else in the society will care? And I'm sure this is not that difficult. Okay? Deep down in your heart, you know that no matter how theoretical your work is, you want to impact everyone. And we have numerous examples that the most esoteric theories in math turn out to be most practical. And examples after examples. Okay, so I don't have to tell you this. Then the third, you have to find your passion. And this is a diagram that I saw in many places. This is the formula for successful research. You have to have ability, you have to have the resource to do it, you have to have the passion. You can only be successful in this overlap here. you don't have the ability, you can learn it. If you don't have the resource, you can write a grant, you can ask for it, you can beg for it. If you don't have the passion, no one can help you. If you don't have the passion, but you have the money and resource, you're not going to do a good job. So I focus on this. This is the most important to each individual. You have to ask yourself, do I have the passion working on the things that I work on? And many of us, okay, I say us because I'm part of the researchers group. The researchers, the PIs, too commonly are chasing after money all the time. There's a call for proposals, and we put together a small team brainstorming about how do we get that money. Okay, only for the sake of getting the money. And we create some problems. And then we say we lack certain people, let's go out and get some people in that area so we can collaborate that satisfy this collaboration criteria. Okay, we have a nicely balanced proposal, we can get the money. Are we interested in doing that? Well, we're interested in money. And that kind of proposal, yeah, maybe you'll be successful getting money, but it's not going to be successful in the long run. So some of you will say that, of course, I have passion in doing that, in doing the research I'm doing. Okay, but I still want everyone to examine your research projects. I'm sure many of you have multiple projects, 3, 4, 5, 6. Some of you may have more than that. Which one am I most passionate about? Which one should I be focusing on? And that's the exercise I ask everyone to do. And then on the research side, we have communicate with each other. In many cases, the 院本部, the central administration and the institution has some gaps, and the institution and each PI has some gap. So I will stress on communications at every level. That's why I'm here, to listen to you. And if you have any questions, if you have any concern about the operation of Academia Sinica, you are also free to talk to anyone, myself included. The last part is more related to tech transfer and promotion criteria. And I think it may have less concerns in the 3 institutions on this campus. But nevertheless, we have dual roles. We are researchers, we are more like research professors, but on the other hand, we are civil servants. And I'm sure you all heard about this controversy, debate about whether we are civil servants, 公务员, or we are researchers, are we university professors. The job we are doing is more like research professors, the university professors, and yet we have a head of civil servants. We get money directly from Congress. So these are the few things I want you to keep in mind. And I'm not going to give you more presentations, and this is it. And the rest of the time, we still have a little more than an hour. I will welcome you raise any question or any conversation, anything you'd like to talk about, and I'm all ears. Thank you very much. Okay, who wants to raise the first question? Maybe we should need to have a random number generator. Yes. State your name and institution so I know who you are, but don't test me on that later.
Okay, I'm Weihao Wang from the Institute of Astronomy. So I believe you know that last year many of our institutes had this external review.
Yes.
In almost all the external reviews, salary issue was pointed out as the big problem of Academia Sinica. So I wonder how you think about this.
Yes, that was my major concern. Just last Friday, we had a strategic planning meeting in 院本部, and that was indeed the focus of the meeting in the afternoon. Surprisingly, some people even think that wasn't the most important problem. I don't know. I think that what that probably means is probably not the best time to raise the issue. Okay, But I do agree that's the number one issue that we are facing, not just in academia sinica, but the whole country as a whole. Okay. Allow me to elaborate a little bit. We have many issues. We cannot attract best people. We cannot convince young students to study science and technology. We don't have infrastructure set up to carry out the research. And we are bounded by many government regulations. These are all problems. But I think the root is the low salary. If we have a high enough salary, more young people will come. Okay? And some of you will be happier. Well, hopefully worry less and complain less about the environment, and hopefully you'll be more creative. And that's a question mark, of course. With the money related to creativity, actually psychologically that's disproved. Money does not correlate with creativity. However, I think the reason why I think money is important here is because we are way below bars. Okay? If we are just 10-20%, that's not an issue. But we are way below bars. And worse than that, our salary structure is so complicated that no one knows exactly how much you earn. Does anyone know your annual salary? I don't. There are many different elements. 本薪、职务加级、专业加级、考绩奖金、3节奖金 whatever. Do we have it? No, okay. I thought I'm going to. Hey, I'm going to, right? I don't get that. Sorry, I quit. And some other, and everyone, and Taiwan is a very nice place, and we have more time than anyone else. 1 year we have 13.5 months, and that's the only thing in the world. Not 12 months a year, and in Taiwan we have 13.5 months, right? And some of you even have 14 months, right? So we enjoy life so much that we have so many months. And that's so complicated. And on top of that, some of, not you, but some of the older civil servants have 18%. So all those are hidden salaries. You cannot compare in an international standard. That's where we lose. Okay? So my point is that we have to be linked to international standard, 国际化. Not just the salary, raise the salary, but the way we quote salary needs to be consistent with what other countries are doing. So there's a direct comparison. I recognize we are low, but not that low. And still very low, but not as low as the number we quote. Okay. So the spiral down. And the society now has a false proposition that low salary, well, high salary will lead to inflation, and then some lower sectors of the society will suffer. Actually, the way, in my mind, I'm not an economist, but I will venture to say that driving up salary is a key to economic growth in Taiwan. Okay. Salary goes up, will attract more people, more creativity, more productivity, and everything goes up. That's a simplistic solution, of course. It's much more complicated than that. But in terms of scientific research, I recognize that is almost the most important problem that everybody complains. And not just here in Taiwan, we are famous for that. And that's bad. And if we become a famous fact, then we're bad. Okay? If it's only a few people complain locally here and that, then that's fine. But right or wrong, it's internationally known that our salary is low. What does that mean? We cannot attract the best people. Even our own people don't want to come back. That is a problem. So I fully agree. Then, do I have a solution? I'm sure you asked me that. That's the basic question, right?
Not necessary.
Not necessary. Thank you very much. I don't have to answer that. Okay, next. talking to President Tsai, and she understands almost everything we're facing. She understands that we have a low salary and so on and so forth. And she gave me a blank check, so to speak. Okay. She asked us to propose something that can be implemented in Academia Sinica. Propose, not necessarily will be implemented. And there is a possibility that she can help to implement that on a trial basis in Academia Sinica. But we have to come out with a solution. We have to come out with a system. Okay. Then it begins to sound like it's more possible. So imagine that if you want to solve all the problems with all the researchers in Taiwan, how much more money do we need? A lot. But if we only want to solve problems in Academia Sinica on a trial basis for a few years and then review whether we are successful or not, it's much more practical. And I can even think of a way to propose that using the same budget, we reallocate the way we spend money so that we don't have to increase the overall budget. And effectively, we can boost the money of the high performers, okay, especially high performers. Because I don't think that it's fair to raise everyone's salary to the same level. It has to be merit-based. We don't want to just raise money. Of course, everybody's salary is low, but we have to have some accountability. When we justify to the society, we say we raise the salary because of this, and that. And we are accountable because we're not just taking the money and doing nothing. Okay. And these people really have great contributions and something in return. So in order to justify higher salary, we have to install a review system, a fair merit-based review system, and we have to implement in a fair way that focus on quality, not quantity. That's why all linked. Okay. If we come out and say, I published 10 papers, and 5 of them are impact factor over 100, and my H factor is, H index is 300. Do you have any H? I don't think anybody has H number. Do you know what H number means? How many of you have never heard of H number, H index? Very good. You are the quality type of person. Just allow me to explain this H index. It's a pseudo-mathematical formula to calculate how impactful your research is, and how do you read that? Of course, it's a field dependent. It's age dependent. But the simple rule of thumb is that if your H index is larger than your age, you're doing well. Okay, so look at your H index. And if you're 40 years old and your H index is more than 40, you're doing very well. Okay. And of course, depending on index, H index counted by what? Google or what the Thomas Reuters. Okay, there are three different ways to calculate the H index. Now let's go back to the merit review. Okay. Most commonly, universities, other than universities in the United States, most of the countries use this kind of quantitative way, pseudo-quantitative ways to calculate performance. How many papers you publish, how many what's your impact factor, how many students you graduated, how much money you bring in, this kind of numbers. Okay. Why do we do that? Why do they do that? Because it make the administrators lazy. They don't have to read your papers, they don't have to understand what you do. You just say, this guy published 10 papers, and that guy published 9, so I give money to this 10 paper guy. So in order to do this, we have to really prove that we are worth it. So everything I said is a precursor to justify higher salary. Okay, we cannot just come out and say, hey, we want more money. And you say, no, that's not going to work. We have to justify why we want more money and where our values lies. Okay, yes?
key of the whole things. We are willing to give good people good salary, but how do we decide who is a good people? Okay, so this is the one question. There's another one question is why higher money will keep people more productive, more creative? Actually, it does not. Higher money gives the institution to attract better people.
Yes.
And that's the key thing to attract better
Yes.
people. Yes. Not to have the people every here become more productive. Yeah. That has a little bit. Yeah. But more important is to attract better people.
Also retain.
Also retain good people. Okay.
Yes.
So let me mention a couple things which may not be related to these two things, but perhaps related to these things. We have an advisory committee, and this is one body that we can ask for help to evaluate or to help to set a committee to evaluate. And at the Institute of Mathematics, I did that, and our great director, Chen Shunren, also did that. Namely, we have no Chinese descendants as a member of our advisory committee. And I like that, and I think he seemed to agree with that. We continue that practice.
It's more convenient.
Yeah, it's very convenient. Okay. So this is one thing, because we are talking about hard choice. This is one of the hard choice. And I'm bringing up a practical
Yes.
step.
Yeah.
That's a hard choice. And the Western people has no self-interest, no direct self-interest here in Taiwan. And also they have a different general way of doing things. Okay, so this I have a suggestion.
Yeah.
This one suggestion. And then Yuan is quite also hit on a very core thing related to my second point, which is that we cannot raise everybody's salary. Right? But I would like to bring up this point. We cannot raise someone's salary, and every year we going to look at his calculation. Once the salary is raised, it's raised forever. And this means that, and then you and I in the US, right, we do that. Okay. And this means that we have to be awfully serious when we consider this guy. Right? And that's why I mentioned this advisory board thing. I have nothing else to say. Thank you.
That's very important. Yeah, I fully agree with your points. Number one, how do we evaluate? Okay. Dr. Liu mentioned that we can ask international, particularly people who don't have Taiwanese connections. Okay, so they don't have the cultural or personal burden, heritage or whatever. That's a great way to do things. But that's only one possibility. There are many other things. Bottom line is that we, as an institution, need to grow up to the situation where we are confident enough to say, this is good. And I believe this is good. I can defend it. Are we there yet? Or should we say, this is good because the impact factor is good. This is good because it publishes how many papers. This is good because publish get so much money. No, we just say, this is good, and explain why this is good. This is innovative, it solved a problem that for hundreds of years no one could solve. Or this is good because it opened up a new frontier that allowed the movie industry to create an image that no one can create. That animation thing. And that was done by one of my colleagues in UCLA math department. Okay, you know this, right?
Oh, sure.
Yeah. And I think that guy even got an Oscar award. A mathematician can win an Oscar. So if you win an Oscar, we'll give you a lot of money. That's your goal, win an Oscar. Who cares about Nobel, right? Oscar is impressive. Everybody sees that. Yeah, so that is very important. And I also agree that money cannot buy talents. Okay, it's repeatedly said money cannot buy talents. Okay, especially if you are here, cannot buy creativity, I'm sorry. Can buy talents, cannot buy creativity. You cannot stimulate people to be more creative. So once you are here, we have to think of some other way to make you feel you need to do something different. Okay? And that's where we need to be creative in thinking how to stimulate each other. Okay? And I've been here, I took the office almost 3 months, in short of maybe a week or so. And I found that we have so many meetings after meetings, and even like this. Okay? But we have very few discussions. I'm sure almost all of you, not almost, every one of you should have received an email from my office, from me, inviting people to come to see me for brainstorming session. And I like to brainstorm with you. I like to talk about research with you guys, even though I probably know nothing about what you do, but I like to brainstorm. And indeed, I get a lot of responses. Okay. Almost every day, I have one brainstorming meeting, and sometimes 2 or 3 sessions. So I told my assistants, don't let me eat lunch by myself. So almost every lunch meeting, every lunch, I have some researchers have lunch with me, talk about research. Surprisingly, most of the people come with a full presentation, with a bento box in hand, and they do presentations. Not brainstorming. So we have 1 hour, maybe 1.5 hours, maybe 2 hours. 80% of the time is presenting. And 5, 6 people, and each one say, I only have 3 slides. And then 3 slides, each slide maybe 10 minutes. So we are still used to this presentation mode, and we are not so used to brainstorming mode. And I like to create Academia Sinica to be a talking place where we create an environment that smart people get together and talk about science, talk about problems, talk about things that we all care about, or maybe talk about things that we don't know anything about, but we have some thoughts, we have some opinion. Yes?
Institute of Atomic and Molecular Sciences. I may be slightly different. I am very happy about my salary. 但是我要讲的是，作为一个研究员，真正要抱怨的是杂事太多。尤其到了某一个阶段，得分担一些所里的管理工作的时候，我们的公务的层面、其他管理的层面的，他们的薪水太低，造成我们杂事太多，得去帮忙他们。这个其实对 creativity 是一个很大的伤害。
That's a very good point. That's also my observation as well. And you know why we got ourselves into that situation. On the good side, I'm proud to say that our civil servants, our 公务员, have the highest quality in the world. And they are so responsible that they do everything by the book. No flexibility. And they make sure that you follow the book exactly. And there are books after books. And once people create a new book, you have to hire people to take care of that book. So it's a self-sustaining operation. Okay? The 公务体系, the 公务员体系 is a growing business, so to speak.
Only better book, not better building, not better utility.
So that's our problem. Our regulation is so complicated, and we have so many auditions system, and our legal system is set up to, I don't even know how to say that. I don't want to say the wrong words. But they are looking for performance. Okay? If every civil servant looking for performance, if your job is to find somebody who has wrongdoing, then what do? You keep finding people who have wrongdoing. Okay? If your job, if you are rewarded by giving tickets, if you are a policeman, course get more tickets. And I found that, and this is not unique in Taiwan. In the United States, it's exactly the same, maybe even worse. In the United States, we have something called the diversity office. Have you heard about diversity office here? We don't have diversity. Actually, we have a lot of diversity, but we don't have a diversity office. So every student, every employment situation, we have to first go to diversity office. And then there will be somebody check on your diversity activities, and so on and so forth. This is just one example. The difference, let me finish this. The difference between the United States and Taiwan, again, I say, the civil servants in Taiwan are doing such a good job that they don't have any flexibility. In the United States, they have judgment. Okay, so make things workable.
Again, I want to ask, do you have a solution?
Yes, and my solution is the same way, and because we are uniquely situated as academia sinica. We are not universities. We don't belong to 教育部. We don't take orders from 行政院. Okay? We have only one boss. Okay? And that means a lot. Okay? We have only one boss, not me. My boss. Okay? Of course, on the other hand, it's bad because that means we have 23 million bosses. Everyone in Taiwan is our boss. That's the downside. We have only one boss that we have to report to. But in reality, we have to be accountable to the whole country. That's 23 million people. Okay. Go back to my solution. Again, the President Tsai told me that we set up our system. Whatever the rules that we want to get rid of, set up our system. Okay. Design a rule that we think is good for the country, and let's try that in the academia sinica first. Okay. And many of us don't believe that. I have some reservation, but I think we need to try to come up with a system that we think is good. Otherwise, most of us sit around here, keep complaining. There's nothing new here. Okay? We all know the problem that no one can raise any new problems anymore. Okay? And so every problem has been raised at least 10 times in any given meeting. Just 10 different ways to say the same problem. Right? And sometimes it's exactly the same way to say the same problem. Okay? So we have to stop doing that. Let's start working on solutions. Okay? And we've been unique. Let's take advantage of that uniqueness. Okay? But make sure we design something that we think can solve problems for research institutions like academia sinica. And if we are successful, then we can think about convincing the rest of the world, the rest of the country. Yes.
Sorry. You said this is a conversation, so could I shift in a little bit?
Please.
About this exchange we just had heard. I talked to our dear director, said that we don't seem to have this administrative program issue management. They said that, well, not compared to Taida, okay? And because it is true, our salary for administrative staff is slightly higher than Taida. We don't have as much turnover as the administrator in Taida. Okay. I think this is one thing I would like to point out, that the researchers here need to recognize that and somewhat appreciate this. Okay, this is one thing. Another thing is that my administrator is a 公务员, always work according to the book. Because if they don't work according to the book, when something happens, something goes wrong, they are blamed. And as a researcher, particularly director, should not allow this burden to be on the administrator. When something goes wrong, she said, this is my fault. And then they have opinion. And then they are more innovative. I think every problem has two sides. Part of the reason, administrator, we are not satisfied. That part of that reason is us.
Yes, yes. Very good. We've been talking about solutions, and I'd like to share with you my view of the solution. Okay. Number one, we have to get rid of the 刑事诉讼, whatever, to protect all the researchers So if you're any wrongdoing, okay, should be charged with 刑责, with just at least 民法. I don't know how many of you, and this is a common opinion in many branches of the government. It just hasn't been implemented yet. Number two, we have to set up a higher standard of legal awareness. There are certain things that we shouldn't be doing, and I would say that we don't have that clear red line. We don't know where to draw that line. So I remember 5-6 years ago, there are maybe thousands of university professors who are charged of wrongdoing, right, in purchasing, whatever, and that hasn't gone away yet. And if you look at what they are doing, some of them are very minor, and others are really ridiculous, okay, and borderline unethical or unlawful. And of course, they are charged with the most severe charges. So researchers need to know where to draw the line. Okay, and the society needs to buy in. Where's the line? And that line can be first agreed upon in academia sinica. Let's have a line, have some examples. What can be done, what cannot be done. Okay? And use that kind of education or / communication. We hope to train researchers how to abide by a law. And then we can think about whether the current practice is effective or not. Is there anything that we have to change? Okay, first set up the SOP, if you will. If I walk down this path, am I going to be trapped? Okay. If you give a few examples, at least people know you follow this is fine. Not just a few traffic rules, and then ask you to venture into a heavy traffic in Taipei. So if you know the basic rules, you follow the rules and you're fine. And some examples. Everybody driving this way, you drive this way, it's fine. You don't have to memorize every single rule. Anyone else? Yes.
I'm Chen Jiajun from the University of Hebei and the Sida National Taiwan Normal University professor, and also belong to IAMS. 有关刚才院长讲的那个薪水的事情我想再问一下，这个清大陈立俊教授在前几年刚上任的时候讲了一句话，就是他上任校长必须让所有教授在清华、新竹买得起房子，所以说他得到清华很多老师的赞赏。那我再讲另外一个例子，就是在台大的例子啊。其实台大这是实际的例子啊，在前2-3年的时候，有一位教授，我不讲名字哈，事实上他接了一个产学计划，他是当主持人，所以他每个月的月薪多了30万台币，这是可以变的。那其他的跟随这个计划的教授，有的领了10万，有的领了5万。所以事实上，台湾在大学里面有些教授领的薪水跟这个实际的情况是有差距的。好，就是某些比较执行力比较强的教授，我知道，比如说台大化学系的教授，有些教授有一些产学计划，他编了。可能1个月的产学计划的钱都比他的本薪还高所以说我们这个中研院在人才竞争上面，事实上，你刚才讲的薪水上的角度，如果你仔细去看的话，其实 performance 好的话，在台大、清华、成大的话，据我所知的，这实际的例子，刚才那个30万绝对不是编出来的。好，所以说，您对这个中研院整个研究的方向是不是会像现在的大学一样，在产学合作这一方面，还有这个，譬如说直接讲，就是说像，这些产学合作的技转啊、主持人费啊这些，都牵扯到很多这个 legal 的 issue。我刚才讲的那些例子都是 legal 的 issue， 都是 legal， 他们全部领的30万也都是 legal。 好，所以说在这个院长这方面，你个人的看法，对这未来对中研院聘人，在跟台大、清华、成大，我们不要说跟什么北大、跟什么东京大学这个抢，就基本上跟国内的这些大学来抢这些人才的时候，你要整个中研院抱着什么样的看法？
第一个，薪资的问题就是刚才我讲的第一件事。Our salary problem is not just low, but the structure is so complicated. That's the problem, not necessarily just the level of salary. And you pointed out an example that somebody can earn a lot more by doing industrial collaborations. Right? But it's not reflected in the salary code. So the problem I'm solving is exactly that. Okay? We should change our salary scale, structure so that we can quote a lump sum salary, annual salary, so people can compare our salary with the salary quoted from Singapore, with the United States, with Hong Kong, with Japan, with Korea. And no one can know this. So if you promise somebody you want to attract from the United States, say, hey, if you do well, you can earn another $30,000 or maybe $300,000, $300,000 by doing industrial collaboration. That's not the way to attract people. It's the salary scale. We are not international. That's number one. Number two, we should not even think about competing with local universities. If you say that's our goal, that's not our goal. And that's not what I'm here for. Okay? We should not aim at competing with NTU, Tsinghua, Chengda, Jiaoda. No, we're competing with the United States. Exactly, we're competing with the United States. We should compete with in the world market. That's what we should be. We are not interested, or we should not be aiming at competing with local universities. That's the beginning of the end. If we start thinking about competing with universities, that's it. Why do we need to be academia sinica? Why do we deserve to be different? I know we're not there, but that's our goal. Okay? If we set our goal that low, we don't deserve to exist. We should report to 教育部 or 教育局, 教育科. We belong to the President's Office, OOP, Office of the President. Okay? The email I got is OOP dot. Okay? So that's where we should aspire to become. Okay? And we should set up any system, our mindset should be there. We should not even think about competing with local universities. Okay? The easiest way to compete with our neighbors is to skip one. 跳岛战术, right? Everybody heard about this. Don't directly compete with your neighbors. Okay? You compete with the people in the next block. Most of you come from the United States, okay? United States training or Europe or European training somewhere, okay? Most of you have training in foreign countries. Okay? And why, when we come back to Taiwan, then boom, all sunk into this big pot and lose our ambition, or being constrained by so many local obstacles. Of course, many of you will say that we know you're just 3 months. Wait another year, you'll be one of us. I'm afraid that day may come. I hope to be later and later. Just 3 months. I'm still optimistic. But I think the optimism is what drives us, right? If we're not optimistic, the world will not move forward. So we just have to be, we cannot afford not to be optimistic. So how many people from maths have raised questions? Let's have a competition, math and astronomy and IMS.
What's the prize?
It's a pat on the back. Yes.
我们知道院长你不是超人 ，OK， 虽然你可以当超人活一段时间。OK， 对不起，我未接你，我原分所的。
One more point， 我原分所。
就是说因为你要处理那么多的事情，你除了当中研究院长以外，你还要当首席科学家，那里面还有更多的任务这样子。所以你要处理这么多事情的话，你要做得成功，或者能够做得久的话，你需要一个非常强的团队。那当然知道在中院里有很多团队，可是我觉得即使中院团队加上去，也可能还是不够。那在这一方面，你有没有自己说，在怎样政府的组织里头找到你一个团队，它可以做各种政策上的研究幕僚，强到可以帮你处理各种问题，这样，这是我想知道，就目前有没有这样的一个团队
Well, it's getting there, growing, but it's still far from completion. Okay, that's of course ideal situation, but like any job, you cannot do everything simultaneously. You have to have a starting point. And of course, my major job is being the president of Academia Sinica, is 院务发展, right? Is set up a culture, set up an environment for Academia Sinica. That's first. 99% of the time, in the beginning, should be there. Okay? And then think about the society, the country, and so on and so forth. Okay? So that simplified a little bit, right? So the first task, if I can make this institution a very stimulating, a very friendly, a very desirable place for the top scientists to work, I can retire. And just that, I call myself a success. Okay? If for the country, I built Academia Sinica as one that is internationally known and attractive enough for foreigners who don't have any Taiwanese tie, would like to come to work in Academia Sinica. Okay? I know many of you probably in that category. But if we can grow that population, then we're successful. And I call myself a big success already. Okay? And others, of course, will going to reach out. Okay? But that takes a lot more time. Okay? Not in one term, one or two terms of presidency that can accomplish. That's why I say that even though I'm optimistic, but I'm realistic, I just focus on Academia Sinica first. Yes?
Continue this question. How about usually your own research lab? Okay, as I know, National Taiwan University President, Professor Yang, still run 50 most project currently. President. Probably it's, this number is not correct, but at least he's wrong like that. His lab probably more than 100 people, professor. And also, I saw that a lot of National University president still run the research project in their university, so they compete with their own professor to get funding. That's pretty ridiculous. So how about your
I have 0 graduate student, I have no postdoc, I don't even have a research assistant, I have 0. And my lab is still under construction, so I have nothing. Okay? But I do a lot of research. Okay? I like to participate in everyone's research. I like to contribute ideas. I don't like to be responsible to write reports. Okay? I don't want to write grants, I don't want to write reports, but I want to contribute ideas. Okay. And I like to write papers. Yes, I do like to write papers. I like to write to educate students, and I will build my own group to do some research. But I don't think I would expand group beyond what I used to have in the United States. And I still have a group in the United States that's winding down. My students graduated and that will close down in the United States. And we built one in Taiwan, in probably smaller scale. My research will be primarily interdisciplinary and collaborative, okay, working with other PIs. So we'll see. But my primary job is being responsible for the institution as a whole. Yes.
Hi, Hong Lee. I'm from. I have a question for you on the matter of interdisciplinary research. You just mentioned you like involved in such field. I think the academy used to have the distinction between a center and an institute. Namely, we still have some units which called the center. But I think the distinction is about disappeared. I think that original idea was center means you have different existing institutes which will contribute participants to the center, which without hiring new people or hiring only a small number of new people. So, but still getting more interaction out of the new content. So I think I'd like to hear what you have in mind in terms of how to encourage the interdisciplinary research.
Yeah, I agree with you that we have not been working very well in keeping the mission of research centers. Okay, research centers was set up with an intention that it's supposed to be mission oriented. Okay, notice that we have institutions and we have centers. Institutions is more or less a discipline oriented. Okay, we need people working on math. Okay, regardless of any problem, just we know. Okay, why we know that? Because from history we know math is important. Okay, so fine, without justification we do math. Research centers is mission oriented, and that's supposed to be addressing social, national, large-scale, long-term issues. Okay, for example, we have agriculture, the 农生中心 agriculture, and what is it? Agriculture biotechnology center, and we have 环变中心, what is it? The 环变中心, the climate change research, climate change institute. Some of them are running exactly that APRC, 农生中心, exactly running mission oriented, and 环变中心 is running that too. We also have other institutions, other research centers that are not so much mission oriented. So that's something that we may have to look at more. And for those of you, some of you may know that we will develop a southern campus in Tainan. And we'll focus on two major research areas. One is agricultural biotechnology. The other one is sustainability. And those are mission-oriented research. And those will be set up in terms of research centers, but without setting up new research centers. It will be a research project run in Tainan, but reporting to research centers. So we will strengthen that operation in the next few years. Yes?
孙家长，你是说交通车要无障碍班次吗？
无障碍的班。
无障碍班次。
哦 ，OK， 这样，那个记下来那个，我们是 follow up。Very important， 这样，谢谢。无障碍的service， 从哪里到？从台大到中研院。OK， 无障碍的，你现在没有吗？现在回去问问看。啊，就一般是 OK，that's easy，OK。
最后一个问题。
还有20分钟啊。好，我们需要 tea break 吗？It's more important to talk. It's more important to talk.
Okay, the last question from IMS, Chen Guixian. For the colleague on this campus is quite distant away from the center. So, for example, the bus issue, all kinds of benefits for the people. Of course, we are very thankful to NTU which has treated us very well. Okay. But there are some insufficient. For example, we don't have, and we cannot enjoy the gym as much as in the Silica. We cannot have a lot of.
Can you use the gym here? It's better here.
Probably better, but it's more expensive. The buses is the other one. Now we can enjoy the restaurant and police equal. That's also good. But I believe many of the colleagues must have feel that we need something more, right? So my point is the Yuan should consider that as well.
Okay. I think that's a good suggestion. I think we probably can set up some kind of mutual exchange program. When Yang Xiaodang comes to main campus, we have a corresponding person use the gym here. Whenever Yang Xiaodang comes to main campus, we force him to use our swimming pool. But that's we can work on some kind of exchange program. And I think, in terms of geographic separations, I think the shuttle bus is one way. We don't have so many meetings, the campus-wide meetings, or there must be some video conferencing facility, right? We can use video conference with other institutions. But it's so close that it's maybe easier to just hop on the bus. Okay. Or you can host some activities here, we can come over here. Okay, the food is better here. I am sure food is better here. Yes.
Thank you. I will be passing very much. I would like to ask one question about public outreach.
Yes, public outreach.
What's your point?
I think we do a lot more. And I failed to say that in this slide, but actually, thank you for mentioning that. I think one of our problems is that we don't do enough public outreach. When I say societal impact, many of you think that we have to tech transfer. No, that's not a tech transfer. Public outreach. And I think people in this room is probably in the best position to do public outreach. Okay, you think that no one is interested in math. Wrong. Most people under the age of 18 are forced to study math in Taiwan. Okay, whether you like it or not, they have to study math. And their parents are paranoid about math. Right? So what do? You have some math workshop. Okay? Teach them how interesting math is and how to help your children to study the boring math. Okay? And give them some handouts how to solve some trick math problems. And I'm sure a lot of people are interested in looking at the skies. And give them some workshop. Moon Festival is coming up, right? And people are looking at the moon, right? And set up something for people to look at that. Well, the influencer, I don't know what they can do. You have to work on something that people are interested in. Yeah. no, like universal is, I'm sure people are interested in the fancy nanotechnology and various things. There are many things that we can interact with the society, the university students, the high school students, and I will urge you to go out of your immediate neighborhood. Don't give a talk in National Taiwan University. Okay, don't just stay on this campus. And even go out of city of Taipei. And New Taipei doesn't count, okay? Go somewhere else in Taiwan. Okay, there are other places than Taipei in Taiwan. Okay, imagine that you give a public talk in a local high school in Taidong. Okay, teach the local kids how interesting math is and help them with some math problems. Okay? And you don't have to do that too much. Once or twice a year, and you have how many PIs here? How many people? And then you can do a lot. And at the same time, you tour the place. Go to Kenting and then spend another afternoon in Pingdong's Huangliao Guoxiao, teach them some math. Okay? And then another afternoon, go to Zhiben. We have the hot spring, that's pretty nice. Then move up the other side, go to Hualien, Soufeng. What is the Nongchang there, right? And I'm sure there's a local high school and local kids that can solve some math problem. Spend an evening with them. And make sure that you call the Congress people there. Take a picture. And then call the people there. I'm there, and I represent Academia Sinica. Okay. And next time, then they know what Academia Sinica is doing. So outreach is very important. And we do have that responsibility. This is our responsibility. And so I will institute this. I'm sure many of the institutes, I don't know about these three, have already put in service as an item in evaluation. This is, are you being evaluated on service items? You have to report your service to your institution, service to Academia Sinica, or service to the society. Okay? Outreach is part of the service. And it could be fun. It could be really fun. Okay? And so, and you may also stimulate some young mind, attract some young talents, eventually work for you. So there are mutual benefits as well. Yes?
I want to brag about one thing. We helped台视制作天文节目，他们今年已经入围金钟奖，入围了。
Wow, Taiwan Oscar. Nice. Did you brag about Academia Sinica? No, you have to have a logo there. You have it. I'm going to check. Every brand have Academia Sinica.
Behind the screen, it's a logo of Academia Sinica, not just HNA.
Okay, Academia Sinica.
Raise the screen.
Oh, okay. Somebody raise the screen.
Somebody raise the screen.
Yeah. But I need the when you do social outreach, and it's very important that let the society know what we are doing. We're not just a whole bunch of crazy scientists that working. We are crazy, but we don't want to work out. Yeah, there you go. Very nice. Yes.
I fully agree that we should reach out.
Yes.
And actually, many of us are doing this. But one problem we are facing when we try to go to the southern part or eastern part of Taiwan is that it's very difficult to claim 差旅费.
We'll work on that. Okay, that's solvable inside of, yeah, that should be easy to work out. Yeah, 差旅费 and see. I think that's doable. It's not that much. Taiwan is very cheap.
Our 差旅费 is even cheaper.
Yeah. So that shouldn't be a problem. Yeah. Yes, please. Yes. Mike.
Hi, 我是张明贤，从一个分起来 from IMS. So my question is the following. So formulate this. Okay, so we have a good vision, and we're talking about passion and everything. And I remember one of my a faculty in my institute saying, sometimes the brain density is a bottleneck. Okay, so given that you have a very good vision, plan, and so on, but then in the end, the human resource, I think, is the most important. The quality of people is the most important thing. While you say that we should not think of competing with local universities and so on, but if you look, to attract good people who work in science, especially students, in particular the graduate students, university, they have a very straightforward channel to attract those people. Here, I remember Zhou Meiying副院长 used to tell us, this is like 八仙过海各凭本事. In 中研院, if you want to attract students, that's the way you do. So it's not so straightforward. We try very hard. We have Lin Zhimin have this 高中科学营. So we try to try to convince even younger students to go to science. So we have plans go so far away. We do have a graduate school, TIGP program, but the history is not so long. I think the visibility is not so high. So in view of this, do you have anything in mind to address this?
Well, that's why we hire the best PI here. Okay? It's not an easy problem, and there's no immediate solution. But on the other hand, we do enjoy better support. Every one of you is a chair professor, as I said in the beginning. Okay? So we all know that we have difficulty attracting PhD students or even postdocs. But let me tell you, the same is true in Europe. The only place that's not lacking is probably a handful of universities in the United States. The top tier universities in the United States don't have this problem. Everyone else shares the same problem. Second tier universities in the United States has the same problem. We're not unique. Okay? And universities around us, national Taiwan, they are having problems right now. A few years later, we don't have enough students in Taiwan. This is a worldwide problem. Okay, the only place that have population growth is in China, India, and Africa. Okay. So there are two ways you can do. One is go out and get those people. Probably you will not do that too much. You will not go to Africa to train. The other way is let's focus using the existing and even diminishing manpower to focus on better and deeper problems. This is a time to consolidate. Instead of each one of us writing 10 grants, why don't we join force to write 3? Okay? And join force to work on something that we really think is important. That's what passion is. That's what collaboration is. If we don't have so many soldiers, let's fight less wars. And I'm sure we are not to the point that we don't have any soldier. Okay, maybe math department don't need any soldiers. Okay, math department no problem, just have a pencil, a piece of paper, then you're fine. You don't need students. But IMS, for example, I know you need students. I fully agree, and that's a difficult problem. And so in view of that, the only way is a few of us join force to publish something that's extraordinary. We solve some problem that our field can solve. But it's solved here in Academia Sinica. And then our name will go out, and people will come. Then we'll come out ahead of our peers a little bit. And a few more years, then we draw. We will be the only ones sustaining. So instead of lowering our standard, reaching out, competing with local universities for the people who don't know how to add, okay? We focus and collect the best people and develop a reputation that we do nothing but the best. That's what we should aim for. 重质不重量. That's what I meant. And in order to do that, I think earlier, I think Liu Yanshi also said that we should not evaluate annual basis. It's not like we evaluate this year and the next year, if you don't publish paper, then we go down. And that's not right. And so our evaluation system, so once you get there, is raise the whole salary. Right now we have the bonus type. That's not good. Okay. So that also get rid of a short-term type of mentality. That every year you publish something, then you're afraid that this year I have nothing to show. Okay, but if you are given a window of, let's say, 3 to 5 years, I don't know how long is appropriate for each discipline, but you decide. Okay? Then we're allowed to focus on something that we really think is important. Of course, there's a risk. What if you spend 3 years get nothing? Well, there's a risk everybody has to take. I think that's a better way than just go out and grab anyone. Right? We have no choice right now.
So that's really fair to say that there's no any structure change, forcing structure change, but really just a strategy for every individual.
That's right. Yeah. So if some propose that, hey, let's become university, but you know that's not going to happen. It's the wrong way to do. Then basically we propose the Jiao Yunbu will be another university, and then the most likely that 3 of you belong to Taida, separate. What else? That's all. Okay? And then that go back to the first question I raised at the beginning of this talk. Why the nation needs academia sinica? If we don't think we have any uniqueness, we just run just like in universities, we should be dissolved. We don't deserve to exist. Okay? And we believe that there's some value, have an institution that houses a few smart, talented, hardworking people and protect them with guaranteed funding, not a lot, but some guaranteed funding, provide them with environment that stimulate their ideas. That's the value of academia sinica. And let's do the best of that. Instead of fighting for more people, more grants, more publications that no one cares. Okay, if I ask you, how many students of yours, what's the percentage of students that you think truly are good? 50%? 40? 30? 20? 10%? Then you know how many students you need to get. Right? So 重质不重量，在精不在多。So we should not use that old traditional way of judging, keep expanding, competing for grants, competing for students. We're competing for the best. It's not easy. I don't think that this can be done overnight, but we have to have the right mindset and slowly moving towards that. And if we don't even have the right mindset, then we are doomed.
Mr. President, this is good.
What?
This is good. That's our only way.
That's the only way. And if we don't do that, we don't deserve to exist. And there's all the discussions where, oh, this is so unique, and no other country said this situation. I say that's our strength. This is exactly where we should excel. We have the opportunity that no other country so far, well, maybe with a few exceptions, I didn't do an exhaustive search, has a direct government funding to a research institution like ours. Maybe Japan we can maybe come close to that. But they have a strong mission of doing translational research. We don't. We are pushed toward that by ourselves, by society, that's why. But 3 institutions here are sort of isolated. No one asks you to do tech transfer. We all ask you to do the best research, period. And let's take advantage of that. Okay. Max Planck is exactly that. Okay. Grab the best people in the world. They don't think of competing locally with the German students. And many of us are proud of having Max Planck's experience. And I want that to happen in academia sinica. And in fact, I congratulate all of you. And I do have colleagues in the United States who brag about, oh, I've been academia sinica, I've been postdoc in academia sinica before. Some of our postdocs, not connected to Taiwan, Caucasian people, they came here to the United States in postdoc and get a faculty position in the United States. I met 2 or 3 of those people. So we're getting there, just we haven't done enough. So Academia Sinica's reputation outside of Taiwan is much better than inside Taiwan. Okay? So that's something that we should recognize and we should continue to expand. So if you do the job right, another piece of information, you know, the 蔡明道院士生化手 he just told me that he attracted a postdoc from Caltech. You know, a Caltech person came to Academia Sinica working for 蔡明道院士. That's the kind of people that we want. And it has been sporadically, there are some examples like that. And we have the opportunity to do that. Okay, that's it. I need to go.